All right. Welcome back, guys. We got another big episode. Halloween weekend, Maddie. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, big guy.
We had three Celtics games to recap. We got a little bit of a different sort of ending to the show. We'll get to there in a minute, but three games to recap. Celtics 2-1 on the week so far. There's another game this afternoon. So we'll start with the game in Houston. First,
Yeah.
first win of the season, correct?
First career win for Ime Udoka. So I think they showered him with water after the game, it looked like.
Yeah.
They pretty much just this game, I didn't feel like a 10-point game. I felt like this game was a little bit more wide open than it was. Tatum was great. Offensively, they were without Jaylen this game. And that was, I think, due to he had like tendonitis, which I think he just had a sore knee. I think this was also his birthday.
I believe it was correct.
Yeah. Schroeder's very good. Al was very good. This was the game Grant was 5 for 7 from 3. I think he was our second leading scorer, or maybe Schroeder surpassed him in the second half. But Grant's hitting his open shots. Skinny Grant is a force to be reckoned with. He's looking like a real solid backup power forward.
Exactly. Yeah. Schroeder and Williams both 18 points on the night. 17 from Al. Short bench in this game.
Yeah, I was about to mention that.
Yeah, which is interesting. Interesting that it came like I guess it's because it was only a 10-point game in Houston. That Jabari, Hernan Gomez, Bruno Fernando, and Enes Kanter did not play.
Yeah, I mean it's been a short bench all year though.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's been a lot of DMPs in Ime's roster. We'll get to that.
I definitely want to talk about that later because there's some very interesting ones.
Absolutely. But this game, it honestly throughout the game up until about the end of the third quarter, it was basically neck and neck with this Rockets team. It was Tatum's first real good game of the season. Shot 12 of 24, 4 of 11 from 3, 31 points, 9 rebounds. Yeah, like I said, his first good game of the season. And I thought it was just a good team win. It tough to sort of have to grind out a game against the Houston Rockets, who really aren't going to be very good. But that team has some ball players. What did you think of the Rockets?
Jaylen Green, he also had like his best, I think, game of the season. Maybe followed up the other night, but he was on fire for 3. And I didn't think he was gonna be that kind of like. I know he's like obviously going to be a shot creator, but he was shooting very well from the outside. We saw Sanguin, who's another rookie. He looked decent. Nothing too impressive with him. My biggest takeaway from this game, though, is the Celtics won the game, and the Celtics only had 11 turnovers, which I don't think those things are. I think there might be some correlation there.
Yeah, those are two good things, right? Yeah,
because we talked. I think what was the game before they had like 27 or something crazy like that.
Yeah, what was it? The game against the Raptors.
Yeah, I think they had like 27, or they're at least in the 20s.
Yeah,
and that's never a good sign. They got down to 11, which if they can live in the low teens, I'll take that.
Absolutely.
Pretty much 9 times out of 10, I think we're going to win a majority of our games if we do that.
Yeah.
But But other than that, we talked about kind of a short rotation. They only went 9-man rotation. That's something we've seen a lot.
Yeah.
But those are really the only takes from the Houston Rockets game. I didn't have too many crazy takes. It was like a week ago now. So
yeah,
I vividly remember it, but that's all the notes I had written down for that one.
Okay. So let's move on to Charlotte. First back-to-back of the year. Good to see the Celtics dog it out in overtime, winning 140-129.
Yeah. Just leading up into overtime, obviously the end of the game went kind of crazy where you had Marcus Smart making a very Marcus Smart-like play where he was able to poke the ball out from I believe LaMelo, right? LaMelo had it at the end of the game. They poked the ball out. And, like, the Hornets had a really good opportunity because I believe it was a tied ball game with them. I think they had, like, basically a full shot clock left. Yeah. So there was a very good chance they could have gotten an easy bucket and made it very difficult for the Celtics to even put the game into overtime. Marcus Smart did Marcus Smart things. That's why we love and trust him. I was hoping the Celtics could capitalize on that and score and not have to go into overtime because these overtime games are killing me.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of staying up past my bedtime. At least they won this one, right? Unlike the Knicks game.
Yeah, right.
No, it was ugly from both sides. Like, I think there was literally like 24 seconds left or something like that. There's at least 20 seconds left to end the game. Both teams had possession. There was a single shot for either team.
0 shots, yeah.
So,
but it was
their takes. I think.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I think that this is the the fourth time Jaylen Brown and Tatum have combined for 70 points, and they've won all those games. Mm-hmm. And this kind of shows how good the Celtics are when their two best players are playing at their best.
Yeah,
like they're gonna be hard to beat. Like I thought that Hornets played really well.
I agree. The LaMelo Ball was incredible. The way that he was just able to, like, in his second year, he's 20 years old, able to basically do anything he wants on the court, to get any shot and make any shot that he wants. And the way he sees the game and he sees the floor is so slowed down and so just well thought out. He's an incredible ball player.
Yeah. You don't have his stats right in front of you, do you?
I do, yeah.
No, don't look at him. Oh, you do? Okay, never mind.
Okay.
I was about to say, because I looked at his stat line after the game, and I was like, wow, he felt like he had such a bigger impact than he did. And that's just the type of player he is, right? Like, just watching him play, you feel his impact, where it's not necessarily always shown in the box score. Like, he's a guy you can tell, like, he makes things happen with the passes he's able to make. He looks like now his shot was my biggest question mark of him coming into the draft. I didn't know how much his shot selection and his shot making ability, especially from deep. And he looked good shooting the deep ball. I mean, he was shooting some pretty deep threes, and he was able to hit them. Miles Bridges was very good. He's having potential most improved player season. Yeah. And Jaylen Brown absolutely dunked him through the core of the earth on that one slide.
Into the core, through the crust.
But that was a really fun game to watch. I liked it because I think both sides didn't play necessarily very well defensively. I thought offensively, both teams looked pretty solid. I have a lot of takes that.
What was it?
I have some takes from this game. Oh, sorry.
At the half, no, sorry. At the half, it was 68-66. No defense at all in that first half.
Yeah. And the second half is the same thing. I think it was like 120 to like 120, like heading into overtime. Maybe it was even more than that, like 123 or something like that.
It was 122, 122.
Yeah, so I knew it was around there. But, yeah, it was a game. Not much defense was played. Both teams looked good offensively. This game, Jabari Parker did play, and he hasn't – not the prettiest looking jump shot, but it goes in. It's gone in the last two games. We'll talk about the Wizards game next, but I mean, his shots, it's going in. It's productive. It's not the prettiest shot in the world, but he's doing a good job. It's like almost like a stretch four kind of player.
Yeah, there have been moments where he's been playing, especially in that Hornets game. There were moments that he came in and played the five too. You know, like against a smaller team, he came in and scored 11 points in 6 minutes in that first quarter.
Yeah, something like it might have been did he hit just three? Yeah, I think he hit like 3 threes and
3 threes.
4 threes. He hit 4 threes all right in a row.
He
3 threes in a layup. That
3 for 4 on the night.
Okay. But yeah, he looked good. I've been impressed with him so far.
Absolutely, incredible work by the C's to get him re-signed for less money.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like, you live with him defensively, but offensively, like, he is doing what we expect him to do. He is that spark plug that can create his own shot. It's kind of rare to have a guy that, like, no matter what the inconsistent minutes are, he seems to, every time he steps on the court, he seems to be able to provide at least something offensively, which is huge.
Absolutely. We talked about it when Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown scored 70. What was the other stat? They're the 5th pair of teammates in NBA history to both have 40-point games in the first week of the season.
Yeah, the first 5 games or something like that. I think it was 5, maybe it was a week or 5 games.
Something like that.
But yeah, I mean, we're extremely lucky to have this as our core players. But I think Ime had some comments after the Wizards game that it's almost mind-boggling how these guys can be as good as they are, but they're not nearly as consistent as they need to be these true superstar, all-star, like all-NBA caliber players.
No, it's a fair thing to say. I mean, like Jason Tatum in the Hornets game, 14 of 28. I mean, 28 shots is a lot. Jaylen Brown, 12 of 20, which is pretty good. But then you have games like the Knicks game where Jason Tatum shoots 7 of 30, 2 from 15 from 3.
Yeah.
It's just impossible.
And then we can talk about, I mean, the next game against the Wizards where Jaylen Brown, I think, starts 1 for 11 or 1 for 11 from the field. He finishes 5 for 16. I mean, we were in the fourth quarter and he had done almost nothing offensively the entire game. And it's like these guys are guys that are all-stars. Like you can't have these all-stars like coming out there and just being so inconsistent with their performances. Like it's hard to get on a winning streak. It's hard to win these close games when you can't rely on your guys to be at least somewhat consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, against Washington, Jason Tatum 9 of 22, 1 of 8 from 3 for 23 points. Marcus Smart 1 of 7, 1 of 5 from downtown. Jaylen Brown 5 of 16, 1 for 4 from 3.
Yeah, Marcus Smart's offense has been really concerning to start the season.
It really has been. In the Wizards game, there were only 2 players to have multiple 3-pointers made.
Yeah,
2 players.
Yeah,
Al Horford and Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah, known snipers.
Known snipers.
Schroeder's like, I like Schroeder. I think he's we can kind of go about our total thoughts for the week too, but I think offensively he's a little inconsistent, but he is a guy like he can be like, oh wow, this guy's really good, like in some spurts, and then other times it's like, dude, what are you doing with the ball? Like just making these like stupid dribbling the air of the basketball, taking these tough shots that he's not making. Making these kind of dangerous passes that may be getting picked off, but he's a very high ceiling, low floor player, I feel like some of the time, but we just don't have that like consistent rock a lot of times offensively.
No, you're right.
To kind of steady the ship sometimes when a lot of guys are off.
Another thing about Schroeder, his jump shot does not look good. It looks weird to watch.
No, he's never been a good shooter. Like I think he's career 33 or 34% from 3.
Yeah. It just looks like herky-jerky almost, like he's heaving it up to the basket.
Yeah, I mean Jabari's looks like literally like it looks like very like.
Yeah, no, but
I don't know how to describe it, but
at least his has like some like a shooting form behind it. It just is like a laser beam to the basket. But Dennis Schroeder just looks like he's that 11-year-old kid yet to hit his growth spurt, just heaving it up to the basket. It looks.
I don't know. He's never.
Like
I said, like he's a fine mid-range shooter. He's a good finisher on the basket, but he's never been much of an outside shooter. So we really can't rely on him to be that kind of guy. And if Marcus Smart's going to be as horrid as he's been from outside, this could be issues if those two are playing alongside each other.
Absolutely. We teased it a little bit earlier, but in the Washington game as well as the Hornets game, we did not see Aaron Naismith. 0 minutes. DMP coach's decision for Aaron Naismith against Washington and Charlotte. And in Washington, we did not see Peyton Pritchard play.
Yeah, I mean, it's like what did they do wrong this offseason? Like that's what I think a lot of Celtics fans are frustrated because like what did Naismith and Pritchard do this offseason that you look at and be like, yeah, that guy can't crack the rotation on this team, especially because Josh Richardson's been horrible. Yeah. I'm looking at his numbers. Josh Richardson, that one game where he hit 4 threes, he's averaging 4.8 points a game. And he's playing, I think, almost like 17 or 18 minutes a game.
Yeah.
And he's not we need some shooting. We have, like we said, we have Dennis Schroeder and Marcus Smart, who are shooting to be expected. Maybe Schroeder's shooting better than I think he typically has. Marcus Smart's been a poor shooter this year. And you have Dennis, Josh Richardson averaging like I said, like 17, 18 minutes a game and just providing nothing offensively. And he hasn't been that lockdown defender that we hoped he possibly could be. So it's like, why are you playing this guy who's like, I don't know, 26, 27 years old when you have these guys that are 22 or 21, 23-year-old second-year players that look like they took a serious leap this offseason and just getting DMPs?
Well, yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself, Maddie. I mean, there's no reason. Like Peyton Pritchard, all he did this summer was go out and score 24 points a game in the summer league, put up, what was it, 80-something in the Washington Pro-Am or whatever, and win all NBA Summer League first team. Like if the Celtics had won the Summer League championship, he would have been Summer League MVP.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, well, he also missed those 2 games, but I think we would have played all the games. I think he would have been.
Yeah,
because he missed a couple games. I don't know how much they factor that in, but no, and we talked about it too. Like leading into the season, I was like, the 3 guys I've been most impressed with, Romeo, Nesmith, and Pritchard, because they're all shooting like, I think they're all 3 of them are shooting like 40% from 3 or better. Yeah, and it's like you clearly need that. Like you're running lineups that occasionally will have Rob, will have Dennis Schroeder, will have Marcus Smart in them. And say you have Jalen and Tatum, like that, they don't really have anyone to pass to kick out if they want to be able to drive around the rim. They don't have consistent shooters around them. Where it's like, I know Nesmith's been shaky to start the season, so is Pritchard, but they're also not getting consistent minutes.
Yeah, they're not.
I don't think we can. Yeah, I don't think we can trade Richardson.
Nope.
I don't know if we can trade him at all this year. Actually, I try to do it on FanTrack. Like usually there's like a date, but I don't know if there's something weird with this contract where he's not allowed to be traded this year. That'd be really unfortunate because I was hoping we could. I knew there's like usually recently trade restrictions or recently signed restrictions, but I would love Thad Young in place of him.
Mm-hmm. Me too. I just another bigger guy. I think isn't the date normally January 15th?
I think it's normally like 3 months after, but he was signed to an extension this off season, so I don't know if that affects things. Yeah, because technically he signed an extension that 1 year, like a 1 year extension.
Yeah, right. Because
so I don't know how that plays.
Whenever I do like the My League in 2K, I always turn those dates off.
Yeah, I know those are dumb.
I want to sign somebody and then immediately flip it.
It hasn't worked, and I was hoping it would. I liked it, the move a lot better before we got Schroeder, because like we talked about, like I thought Romeo was originally going to get pinched to start the season. It looks like it's turned out to be Nesmith, and now even Pritchard, who I really thought he was pretty much going to have a guaranteed role on this team as being like probably the second guard off the bench once we acquired Schroeder. But they have that switch everything lineup, and you really can't play that switch everything lineup if you are playing. You can't play that lineup if you're playing Schroeder and Pritchard at the same time. Like those are just 2 small guards. You can't do it.
Right. But then the switch everything lineup turns into Rob guarding LaMelo Ball. We saw that way too many times in that Charlotte game. I don't know. I've been reading a couple things. I mean, Greeny on Twitter has been pretty anti-switch everything. But it also comes down to like the team playing better defense. I know they're schemed into some tough situations. Like we said, Rob Williams on LaMelo Ball is not a matchup you'd like to keep forcing onto your opponent. But the team needs to play like better defense and take care of the ball.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it is, like you mentioned, he's on LaMelo Ball. So who's guarding the bigs? And we saw with Montrezl Harrell what happens when Rob's out on Aaron Holiday. Who's guarding Montrezl Harrell? Usually it's like Tatum or Jaylen Brown who just aren't big enough and strong enough to deal with him. And yes, some of it's personnel issues, which like at this point we really can't change. But a lot of it is communication. Like some of it will get better. But at the same time, we're getting killed on the offensive glass because Rob and Al, because they're not just switching like on ball screens, they're switching off ball out too. Rob and Al are getting dragged on the perimeter, and then we only have wings and guards trying to out rebound a guy like Montrezl Harrell, who is just 100% like 110% all the time, like going all out offensive out of problems. And so I'm super successful with this personnel that we currently have.
Yeah, I think this personnel works really well in the Olympics when your team is head and shoulders above any other competition. I think that might be the sort of mindset coming into it, that like, oh, this works on the international level. That doesn't work in the NBA. These are all the best players all playing at once. I mean, like you said, Montrezl, 25 points, 10 of 13 shooting, 11 rebounds.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that necessarily, though. Like, I agree that it is more successful when the talent level is higher. But I think a lot of it is the personnel, because Dennis Schroeder's playing a lot of minutes, and Dennis Schroeder's a guy that's getting picked apart. I think, who was it? Spencer Dinwiddie, a guy who's just a bigger guard. Like, he was just bullying Schroeder down low.
Mm-hmm.
And so it creates a lot of mismatches. Like, if we had Marcus Smart if we had like Marcus and Romeo typically as our smallest guys on the court, like that wouldn't be an issue. Or say we have a guy like Thad Young, because we do need another backup center, because Grant's getting a lot of minutes, which he's been fine. Like Grant's been very impressive to me.
Yeah.
But we do need to have two bigger bodies on the court at all times, so we have less of those like Montrezl Harrells of the world on wings, where we can have another like more forward type player to at least try and box him out and be physical with him.
Mm-hmm. That is something that needs to happen in order for this defense to really work out. Do you have any other recap points? We can talk just briefly about the game tonight, playing the Wizards again. Huge injury list tonight, right?
I know Richardson's probable. I know Marcus Smart's out. Rob Williams questionable, and Romeo's questionable. Nail it.
Marcus Smart out. Romeo out. Rob Williams questionable. Josh Richardson questionable.
Oh, they downgraded him. I think right before we started, I posted to our Instagram story. I think it said Romeo was questionable.
The ESPN report says out.
Oh. Did you look at the Celtics official team report?
No.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Maybe he's out. Either way, he's been out the last couple of games. So in that case, we're probably going to see a lot of Grant. Probably going to see a smaller lineup, which both those things don't really bode well for Montrezl Harrell not just taking our lunch money again.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if Rob is out. Marcus, like, I don't know. What lineup do you think we're going to go with? That's an interesting one now, too.
Yeah. So no Marcus Smart. So then we go Dennis Schroeder, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum.
Yeah, I mean, Rob may or may not play. Did they go Grant to start? It seems like that's what they went with day one, wasn't it?
Yeah, right. It was Grant, correct?
Yeah. So I mean, maybe it is Grant. Probably see a lot of Jabari Parker then. Probably see some Wancho.
Yep.
Probably not Ennis. Bruno's been reassigned to Maine, so we're not going to see any Bruno minutes.
Right. Which is too bad. We haven't seen Bruno all year.
I know. And I do think, I don't know. I just think that we do need another center that can play defense, especially if the switch everything defense. It just makes no sense why Ennis Kanter's on this team.
No.
It's like, I don't hate Ennis Kanter. Like, I get his role, but in this defense, in this system that we have right now, Not good for Ennis Canner.
No, not good.
I have one more takeaway though from so far this year.
All right.
I think the two players that are being horribly unutilized are Rob and Al. In the sense as playmakers, I think Rob and Al you'd both consider like plus passers for the center position.
Absolutely.
Combined, they're averaging 4.1 assists. I'm pretty sure Al averaged that last year in Oklahoma City. I think Rob averaged I think once he was starting, I think he averaged over 2, like maybe closer to 2.5.
Yeah.
You can fact check me on that, but it seemed like he was getting quite a few assists.
I don't want to fact check you. I'm going to believe it to be true.
But right now they're averaging 4.1 as a duo. Like Al especially is too good of a passer to only be averaging 2.3 assists like right now. Yeah. They're not utilizing him in the high post very much. I think a lot of times a lot of pressures on Jaylen and Tatum to do a lot of the shot creating and playmaking for others' duty. I think involving Al, having more stuff run for Al and Rob out of the high post could be a potential option to help kind of alleviate some of that playmaking on the Jays. Mm-hmm. And I just think that if you're not using Al as a passer, I think you're really underutilizing the value that Al Horford provides. Yeah, he's been great so far this year, despite this.
Yeah, I mean, he has missed a game or two also, and he's getting back. He's on this. He's obviously returning to the Celtics, but he's yet to be a part of an Ime Udoka lineup. I think we'll see more playmaking and more ball movement out of the two bigs as the season goes on, as Ime understands what he's got here. Yeah, I think you're spot on. I like your takes. Are we ready to switch gears?
Yeah, I think we are ready for our Halloween movie draft.
Well, I don't know what horror movies to pick.
Well, that's kind of the whole point of having you on here. You got at least 30 minutes from the time to.
I know. No, I have stuff listed, but it's like there's so many good ones, but then there's so many shit ones I like.
I know. I kind of was thinking about it. I was like, should we do categories? Just do one that's like not a guilty pleasure almost, but like one that's just like an absolute shit. Like, well, yeah, basically guilty pleasure. One, that's shit. But we're just going to kind of go 4 off the top. You can pick one. People can roast you, but if it's popular, it's popular. I just know, like I said, like I talked about like my least favorite horror movie. Not my least favorite, but one of my least favorite compared to how it's perceived, and that's the Babadook. Like I fucking hate the Babadook.
That's ranked so high for some reason.
It is.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's like I would much rather you pick like Jason X or like Jason Goes to Space than you pick the Babadook. Like I would much rather watch. I'd much rather watch Jason Goes to Space.
Is so good though. It's so good.
Oh, they don't even care at all about the story. They're just like, it's like he's gonna chop people's heads off in space. Like that's all it's about.
All right, let's get this going. I gotta watch UFC. It's on right
now.
Okay.
So what was the order last time?
I think it was Ian, Matt, me.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to just flip it? Flip it?
Sure. So I get first pick.
Yeah.
Okay. So with the first pick, I'll go with a classic, the original Scream movie.
Great. I don't know if I've seen that. I don't know if I've.
You've got to.
I've watched a lot of horror movies, but I think that's the one where I just like see the scary movie like spoofs of it, and I just kind of basically get the gist of it.
No, you don't.
No,
I don't.
That's a good trilogy.
It's a streaming service is it on?
HBO.
Okay, I got HBO. I can watch that.
Yeah. It's like the classic half comedy but still slasher style film.
It's an OG late 90s film.
OG late 90s. It encapsulates everything from late 90s cinema. Beautiful girls in it, great story. And plus like that Scream character is just hilarious. So that's
I think give it a watch this time.
Pretty solid number one pick.
Yeah. And I was about to say too, like horror comedies completely, like if someone wants to take like Zombieland or like Shaun of the Dead, like those, like I think those are fair.
Okay.
Like horror comedies.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want to rule that out unless it's something like egregious, like not even a horror in the slightest. But so my number one pick, I have a lot of movies listed. I definitely have forgotten some horror movies that I watched, but of recent horror movies I've watched, I think my favorite's probably Shutter Island. Have you guys seen Shutter Island?
Psychological thriller. Right?
Yeah, it's good. It's maybe more of a mystery and suspense than it is a horror movie, but I definitely think there's a lot of horror elements to it.
It's a broad genre.
Yeah. I mean, it's like
let that happen. That's just a great film.
Yeah, it's a genuinely like, I think it has genuinely like scary parts. And it's like more like you said, more psychological, which when you consider stuff psychological thrillers, I think that kind of even widens the margin of what it could be considered, because a lot of it may not seem as scary to other people. Great cast. The two main characters are Leonardo DiCaprio and Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Just a lot of twists throughout. The story kind of leads you in one direction and kind of like switches it up a little bit. I really enjoyed this movie. I watched it for the first time like not too long ago. Usually I'm not a huge fan of psychological thrillers, but this one like really got me good. Just a very cool plot and a very unique kind of story.
That was like along the run where Leo DiCaprio did a whole bunch of films, and every single time his wife was just like not that pretty, which doesn't make any sense. You know, because that guy
I don't remember his wife in that one. Who's playing his wife in that one?
His wife in that one's like the main reason behind the whole film. We won't put any spoilers out there, but I don't know. It was just like some normal looking girl.
Okay, you don't know the actress. Yeah, that's what I was just asking. Yeah, that's fine. I just don't even remember that part of it about the wife. I know they talk about her a lot, but
she was like
okay. So Ian, back to back for you.
I'll go one, American Psycho.
Yeah.
Christian Bale, Reese Witherspoon, Jared Leto. Just a great cast, great film. Really encapsulates like the psychopath killer on the loose. I mean, not a late 90s film because it's 2000, but it kind of encapsulates that kind of vibe. It's got pretty women in it. It's got thriller. You never know what he's going to do. The way he it's a very gory movie.
Yeah.
And it kind of is real. It can be realistic in a way. So it's kind of scary, but I mean, Christian Bale plays a great psychopath. He's a great method actor. So just overall great cast and a great movie. And then second, I'd go Hush. You guys know the movie Hush?
No.
That's the one where she's deaf, right?
Yeah.
I didn't like that one.
That movie's amazing. I love realistic. Like that's so real. That can happen to anybody. Kate Siegel's in it. I like Kate Siegel. She plays in a lot of horror.
I don't know if I completely finished it. I was watching it, and I think just like the overall like the not talking, and I get that that's the whole point, and I'm kind of contradicting it because I like both the Quiet Place movies. But I don't know. Hush was just one I couldn't get into. Maybe I'll give it a rewatch. But
it's very suspenseful because she plays these scenarios in her head, and it's loosely based on a true story, which is also, I mean, I love those types of movies like Amityville Horror and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the way I think Kate Siegel embodies that character is amazing. I really like great movies with just one strong character, and she really carries that as playing a deaf person. And then the killer in that's great. The mask, the way he just offs people I like the way they use that. I mean, slashes her tires. It's very just suspenseful.
I'll have to check it out.
We watched it. You don't remember it. We were at Rick's house, and it was like 11 o'clock, like 12 o'clock. Let's throw a movie on, like in 2017.
Yeah, very.
I think I might have been there and fell asleep through it. Honestly,
it's a great film.
But yeah, I think we have different movie tastes, which is good for me because I mean, mine aren't going to get taken. My next one maybe is slightly horror comedy. I think it's definitely falls more towards the horror side of it. But I have Cabin in the Woods.
Oh,
I like that
another movie.
Chris Evans.
Another movie. No.
What?
No. Chris Hemsworth.
I mixed them up.
A very young Chris Hemsworth. I really enjoyed that movie. Like I said, like there's enough kind of humor and comedy mixed out. It's kind of a classic like teen slasher film. Very, very interesting kind of plot twist for that one as well. I love a good plot twist, honestly. Like that'll get me every time. Like I'll talk about, like, I think we haven't talked about just like overall favorite movies, but like one of my favorite movies of all time is Gone Girl. And that's just the most plot twist and just incredible. Like a good plot twist will get me. Not a huge M. Night Shyamalan fan though, but Cabin in the Woods was very good. I enjoyed it a lot. Once again, kind of a unique premise behind it, a unique story, and it does have a pretty good cast of characters. I can't think of all the rest on the top of my head, but Chris Hemsworth will usually sell me on a movie no matter what.
Yeah.
All right, so I went with like a pretty like I guess more horror style films. My next two will be first I'll go with Sinister. Sinister has a really cool plot. And it's also very scary. I am not a huge horror movie fan, but that movie sort of captured my attention. I thought the cinematography of that movie was pretty cool. And I just liked that story, and it scared the hell out of me. My next pick will be Midsummer.
I'm watching that tonight.
Wow, good luck. Creepiest movie I've ever seen. Just very strange. Absolutely nothing you like expect going into that movie is what happens. But
excited.
It's crazy. I don't think I would watch the movie again.
Really?
I have some take. I liked it. I liked it better the second time I watched it because I think I got more the second time I watched it as opposed to the first.
Okay.
So a lot of it is kind of psychological. And really think about
that.
it. Ooh, that's a good one as well. But I like both your movies. I don't think Sinister is as widely liked by like critics and even like the general public.
Yeah,
that was one of the movies I always remember. I'm like, I like that one a lot. Like I thought that was very creepy, very scary.
Very scary. I think the issue was it was a Netflix. It came out on Netflix, and it came out around the same time that the Insidious series was wrapping up. So it just sort of got downplayed by that. I think that's at least what happened. But
and also it's late. I wanted to put this on I didn't have it on my list because I haven't rewatched it like since I originally watched it on like 4 or 5 years ago, and it's not any streaming service that I have. It's like you have to like pay to rent for it. I watched the second one. The second one is horrible.
Sinister 2.
Sinister 2 is horrible.
Yeah, I didn't.
I would not suggest watching it. It was a big letdown after the first one. And then Midsummer, I think the creepiest part of Midsummer is it's like how many horror films are almost all in daytime.
Right.
And like that's what I think is the creepiest thing about it, because it's like it's just kind of like jarring that it's so light like throughout the movie, whereas like most horror films you think of being very like dark and kind of creepy.
No, it's a bizarre movie. Ian, you're in for a trip.
Yeah. Will Poulter, dude. Shouldn't. Oh, sorry. Never mind. I won't give any spoilers then. I thought you like meant you were watching. I assumed you had watched it already.
I haven't watched it yet.
I got the next pick. I have a classic on my list, but I feel like I'd rather go with kind of like my personal picks that maybe aren't as widely known. Like I was gonna pick Nightmare on Elm Street, but I'm gonna pass on that because I only have 2 picks left and I have 2 movies I really like. So my first one's gonna be Fear Street Part 3.
Oh,
which is it sucks because you do have to watch the first two, which I think the first one it's good, not great, but the last two I think are like genuinely like great movies.
All three of those are amazing.
I didn't like I thought the first one was a little bit too much like kind of like story building. It was a little slow, but I think the second and third ones were very good. And I suggest watching like all of them. Like the first one isn't bad by any means. Like it's still a very good movie, but I think the last two are even better than the first one.
I've never seen any.
R.L. Stine, they're straight to Netflix movies too, which is like pretty incredible. R.L. Stine, same guy that wrote the Goosebumps books. So no, they're very great, good story. You need to really watch, of course, all three to watch to really get the third one. But I think the third one's the best of the three. I think it gets better as it goes on.
Yeah, it adds up. It's a trilogy.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, you could binge it if you really want to, or you could watch like 3 in 3 nights. But they're very good movies. I suggest everyone go out and watch them.
Yeah, I watch those weekly. So I'm gonna go horror comedy for my first pick. Zombieland. My third pick, Zombieland.
Nice, great movie.
I love that movie. Eisenberg and Harrelson.
Harrelson's awesome.
The way I'm gonna spoil something. I'm gonna spoil something.
Yeah, it's Zombieland. You can spoil Zombieland. It's like 10 years old.
When Bill Murray walks in and pretends to be a zombie, and he just gets blasted.
It gets like whole.
So funny, but then it's a great film too. Like the storyline of it, like to base something in a zombie apocalypse, and also throw in like there is suspense in it, but it's also just so funny. Woody Harrelson's character is perfect for him. It's just a great movie. And then I'd say for 4, I'll go Insidious. It's my probably all-time like favorite horror, like strict, like I'm gonna pee my pants, kind of like sit down in the dark and watch it.
Yeah.
I still get nightmares from that red dude.
The red face creeping out behind the guy. Yeah.
And then that song. When they're
Tiptoe through the window.
Yes, that song. Oh my! I was probably like 13, 14, just freaking out about that. That film's so good. I mean, that's all in the same. Would it be can't? Yeah, it's like that. Conjuring and Annabelle are all in the same.
No, Insidious is different. Just the same dad.
Just the same dad. Okay.
It's like the actor that plays it. That's what fucks me up every time too.
Patrick Wilson, Patrick Wilson, great horror actor. Oh my god,
he is. But that's what always messes me up because I always think they're like this. I always confuse the two and like mix them together.
Because I just watched the last Conjuring.
Oh
yeah, he's in both movies.
I just watched In the Tall Grass on Netflix with him in it. Have either of you seen that?
No.
Bad movie. Don't watch it.
So those were your two. Insidious, solid choice. What was your first one again? Your third one.
Zombieland. It's
Zombieland. Great choice.
Such a broad genre, and I feel like if we did like, it's such a broad genre.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about, like almost categorizing it like to like, okay, we do like horror comedy, slasher stuff. But I kind of do like this. I think we're gonna a lot of our tastes are being shown here.
I got a guilty pleasure, and that's Freddy versus Jason. That would have been on
there. Yeah, I was thinking about that one too. But I was like, oh yeah, that's like I said, like even the Jason, like Jason Goes to Space or Jason Takes Manhattan, like even those ones, dude. I'll watch those ones like every once. Like I enjoy watching those movies, but like I know they're not good movies. But it's like I like seeing someone's head get chopped off every once in a while. Like sue me.
Who doesn't?
And so my last pick. I think this is one that I think very few people have probably seen, and it's House Llc. No. It's available on Amazon Prime. It is.
Please sponsor.
It's basically like, hopefully, yeah. No, Amazon. House Llc. It's basically a story about a bunch of these friends, and they run like haunted houses, and essentially. They take over this haunted house. It's like legit haunted, and it's kind of filmed in a mockumentary style. A lot of like first person, like handheld, like the Blair Witch Project, like first person, like what do you call that? Like the camera work when it's like
you
through
could call
through the lens.
Mockumentary.
No, I mean it's like the found footage. It's kind of like that. It's a lot of found footage. Very good movie, very scary. Got a pretty good plot. It's not like the best movie in the world. Like I said, like I probably should have taken Nightmare on Elm Street over it because I do think Nightmare on Elm Street's like very frightening and a very good story. But I'd rather pick this one because I think fewer people have seen, and it's just a really solid movie. The second one's okay. You can watch. The second one's still on Amazon Prime too, but it's definitely not nearly as good as the first.
Interesting. Okay, you brought up my last pick, and that's Blair Witch Project. First scary movie I ever watched. I owned it on VHS, and I think the whole found footage mockumentary style is awesome. I mean, it brought Blair Witch brought upon all of the Paranormal Activity movies. It created a new genre of horror film, I think, and plus the story is incredibly creepy. I could see it happening. I could see it being set in Maine as well. Like it has very like that. Where is it? West Virginia? Is that where Blair Witch is? Or Virginia, Kentucky, somewhere like mid Atlantic. But just a great film. I think it was one of the first. I'm probably talking out my ass here, but it had one of the first like actual horror films to win or be nominated for some sort of screenwriting thing. I don't know.
He was nominated for a lot of awards.
Yeah. It's interesting the things we left off the list. I mean, no Paranormal Activity, no Conjuring.
They're both ones I definitely had a thought about. I'm surprised I haven't seen Parasite or I know Parasite was like obviously one like best film. That was a horror movie, but that's just one that wasn't.
It's more of a personal favorite list.
Yeah,
that's like one.
Parasite was not really a horror movie.
I didn't watch it. I just assumed everyone called it. I thought everyone called it a horror movie. I don't know.
Yep, one horror film.
No, we didn't really. No one touched on really the main. I mean, Emery went with Scream, but a lot of like the bread and butter.
13th.
Yeah, no Friday the 13th.
Halloween.
No Halloween. No Nightmare on Elm Street. No Saw. Children of the Corn's kind of trash, dude.
I hate that movie. No Stephen King. Do we hit any Stephen King? It.
I guess I briefly mentioned. Well, I briefly mentioned Misery.
I should have replied. I would have put Shining.
I talked to. Oh, you weren't here. I was talking about The Shining and Misery earlier. They're ones I watched, and the Misery I thought about putting on there, but I think I don't know. That one wasn't as scary to me. That was more psychological and like suspenseful. But I was thinking about
same with Us and Get Out. That's why I didn't put them in there.
I almost had Get Out on there. Get Out was one. Get Out was one that I did have like on my list, but I was like, I didn't want to pick like the super popular ones because I was like, okay, well, everyone's seen that. So I hope with this, maybe if you haven't checked out any of the movies that we listed, you guys give them a watch. We had some pretty good choices. I don't think anyone picked like a trash movie by any means. I think all the movies that were picked were pretty solid movies. But, okay, well, Ian, I'll leave you
Celtics before this?
Yeah, we did. We figured we'd get you in, get you out. Well, we thought it was going to be you and Dyer, too. If it was just you, we would have had you on.
They're looking all right. I think it's going to be similar to last season.
I think they're going to be a little bit better. I think they'll figure a lot of stuff out. I think we just haven't seen a new coach for a while. I do think they will show quite a bit of improvement.
Smart needs a strap.
Yeah, he needs to figure it out. He's struggled offensively for sure.
Right now, we couldn't trade Marcus Smart or Jason Richardson for a bag of bones.
Yeah, we could, or just I mean,
I think we need Gomez.
I think you're going to get him tonight, dude. Especially if Rob doesn't play. I think there's a good chance you get him tonight.
Well,
so you're going to be asking for it. Asking, you shall receive.
Monster House also. Just want to throw that out there. Great scary film.
Never seen.
It's not actually, dude. It's a child's film.
I watched a trash film the other day, dude. It was called Mary. Oh my God, was it horrible?
You guys watched Trick or Treat before?
No, I haven't.
That's what I watched it on your HBO.
Yeah, there's a lot of good scary movies. There's a lot I'm thinking of like now that I didn't even like put on my list that I just completely forgot about. I think Year Next was another one that I really liked. No one mentioned the Purge movies, but I don't think any of them, but the first one was very good.
First one's amazing.
First one,
but
it's just so
that's
logical.
what I'm saying. Like,
don't let that motherfucker in, and that movie doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Damn kid.
Okay. Well, see you guys. Let's see you guys hopefully soon. But we'll be back next week with another pod. Hopefully the Celtics get a little bit of a win streak.
Looking forward to that.